All right. Hello, friends. So tonight what we're going to do is finish up on our linked list grind that we've been on. We've done everything in the linked list data structure: remove the tail, remove the head, insert, delete, prepend, append, get props, print. Last thing that we got to do is reverse the linked list. Now, reversing a linked list is pretty tricky, and it does come up a fairly good bit on interview questions because it is kind of tricky, but if you just kind of memorize the steps, it's really not that hard. It's kind of hard to explain though, so what I'll do is I'll write it out and then I'll explain it after it gets done, after we get done coding it out. So the first thing we're going to do, call it reverse. It's not going to take anything in. We just want to do a check, so we'll go if not this dot head, we'll just return -1 just off the top to, if there's nothing to reverse, we won't be able to reverse it. Similar to the checks that we've done in our other functions, but it's just a little bit more succinct. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to flip the head and the tail. And so doing this in algorithmic programming, there's this paradigm of flipping elements. Usually it's found within arrays, flipping elements in an array, but it's kind of the same thing here. So we'll just go let temp. We can just have a temp, and that will equal this dot head, and then we'll have this dot head equal this dot tail. Actually, we don't want to call this temp, we want to call this node. So we'll go node right here. So let node equal this dot head equals this dot tail, and this dot tail is going to equal node. So really, if you see what we've done there is we flipped the head and the tail with 3 lines of code, which isn't that bad. So here we need to make a few variables. The first one that we're going to make is going to be a previous, so we'll just call it prev. We're going to equal that to null because basically we want a null value at the front of the linked list this time because we're going to flip it, we're going to reverse it, and we do want our tail, which this is going to end up as, to be null terminating, so we'll just make it null initially. And then the next variable that we want to declare is just going to be next, and we're just going to declare that. We're not going to assign it to anything. So we've been doing while loops. So let's do for loops this time. We'll go for let I equals 0, I less than this dot length, and then I plus plus. So we're going to run through the list right here, and then this is the logic that goes on here. So you might have to follow this a few times and snake your way through what's going on here, but I'll do my best to explain it. So the first we're going to do is take next, which is unassigned initially. We're going to equal it to node.next. Now, if you remember, node is set to the head right here. So we said let node equal this dot head, but then we put this dot tail equal to equal to node as well. So if you think about what node is, it is this dot head right now. That's initially what it is, but this dot head has changed to the tail, and then the tail has changed to the node. But the node is still the original this dot head. So you just have to keep that in your memory bank. So we'll go node.next, which is in the initial, it's going to be the head. We're going to equal that to previous, the old head. So on line 134, node.next basically means old head.next is going to equal prev. Prev is equal to null. So as you can see here, what we're doing is we're setting the next value of the old head to be null, to where it's going to be null terminating because we're going to reverse this linked list all the way through, right? So then we want to set prev. Since we've already assigned node.next to prev, we want to set prev equal to node. Now, node is this old head right here. So we're going to, in the first iteration through this. So then we'll go node equals next. So then we'll move the node to next, which was node.next, and we'll move it there. So that's the bulk of our logic, and we'll just return this down here. And we can print this out like we always do right here. So let's just delete this. We'll go list.reverse. So let's comment these out and let's take a look at our list before we do it. So in our list, oops, sorry, showed my desktop. No good, bro. Y'all don't do nothing to me. All right, so we'll go node 1 dot linked list. Okay, so first of all, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this. We should probably get rid of that. I don't like that. So let's run it again. So this is our linked list right now. 0 through 7 has a length of 8, head of 0, and a tail of 7. Okay, so now let's run the reverse method right here. We'll uncomment this out, and then we'll uncomment these out as well. Save it, run it, and let's see what we get. Okay, so now you can see right here, so our first initial printout, let me clear all this up so we can do this, so we can see this. Okay, so our first printout is 0 through 7 with a length of 8, head of 0, tail of 7. In our second printout, we have 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, so it did reverse it. Still has a length of 8, has a head of 7, and a tail of 0. So that worked. So that's how you reverse a linked list. So basically, in this little module that we went through with the linked list data structure, we've learned a lot. We really have, and we've probably more. If you were to go on a coding interview question with linked list, normally what they're going to ask you to do is reverse it. At least that's all I've ever heard of them asking a person to do with this, is reverse it. So this is probably the most challenging part to understand, but also probably for more senior positions for software engineering, this is going to be the question that they ask you. So just go through it a couple of times and don't try to memorize it, but just actually learn what's happening. And you might have to draw out little diagrams for this. I used to have to do that when I was learning this stuff. I draw out diagrams like, okay, so prep's going to go here, next going to go here, then node.next, and then this is going to be initialized to null. Once you do that a couple of times and you have understanding of it, then the other things like the deleting, the traversing, the removing the tail, the head, the inserting, those are no problem. So I'm going to put this code up on GitHub, and the next data structure that we're going to move on to, I don't want to do doubly linked list. I know we probably should, but I'm tired of doing linked lists right now. So I want to move on to something a little bit easier. Stacks and queues, those are very easy comparatively to like doubly linked lists. So we'll do stacks and queues next, and we should start those videos probably tomorrow. So if you're on this playlist, this basic programmatic skills playlist, just keep going with it. And yeah, hope you like it. All right, take it easy.